I apologize for the lag. MD Dixon once said, the soul should always stand ajar, ready to welcome the ecstatic experience. And I believe on this great evening, we have participants across the world waiting with utmost enthusiasm to hear our wonderful speakers for the day. I'm Tarun, a student of National Law School of India University, and also part of the Think India, here welcoming you for today's session. It's indeed my privilege and honor to share this dais with eminent scholars who are there as the guests for the day. With no further ado, let me introduce the guest speakers for the day, Mr. Shubhendu Anand. Mr. Shubhendu Anand is a practicing lawyer in the Supreme Court of India. He was the chamber junior to Mr. Vikramjit Banerjee, Additional Solicitor General of India, and is currently the Counsel for Union of India and the State of Madhya Pradesh. Mr. Shubhendu obtained his postgraduate degree in Intellectual Property and Media Law from Queen Mary, University of London, where he was a British Chevening Scholar in the year 2016-17. He graduated from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, and holds a degree in Law, LLB from the Campus Law Center, University of Delhi. So, it's our indeed privilege and honor to have you as the guest for the day. Next, we have Mr. Harpreet Singh Gupta. Mr. Harpreet Singh Gupta is a practicing lawyer who practices before the Court of Madhya Pradesh and Delhi. He is the alumnus of the National Law School of India University, a gold medalist from the batch of 2013 to 18. And he's also the recipient of the prestigious Chevening Scholarship for the year 2021-22 for his LLM degree from the University of Cambridge. We also have Ms. Gabriella. Ma'am is a Brazilian lawyer and a civil servant. She's a Chevening Scholar for the academic year 22-23 for the course MSc International Social and Public Policy at LSE. With this, I welcome our speakers to make their initial remarks. I now call upon Mr. Shubhendu to address this wonderful gathering on this great day.
Thank you, Tarun. I welcome everyone here in this discussion where we are going to discuss about the application procedure for Chevening, what are the requirements, and what you can expect out of this scholarship. I was a Chevening Scholar in the year 2016-17, and I studied at Queen Mary, University of London. I was a law student over there. So things that I would be talking about would be peripherally relating to law applications as well. But overall, the Chevening Scholarship application is common to all the students of all the streams. And the questions that you need to answer, the essays that you need to write are very common to all the streams. So let me start by telling you that what exactly do the Chevening people, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, looks for in a candidate when they select him or her for the scholarship. So it's basically the first thing that you would come across when you must have all gone through the application process, the process that is given for application. You have checked the website and you must have seen what are the requirements. One thing that you would find that it occurs a number of times is your leadership abilities. So leadership is one thing that Chevening looks for in all the candidates it selects, and it is first and foremost prerequisite, followed by what you have done and how what is your motivation for studying in England, and what are your future goals, what do you plan to do once you return. So these are the questions that you need to answer, and I'll come back to them in a while. But let me give you a brief timeline of what the application is going to be, and when does it start and when does it end. So basically, your application starts with the opening of the Chevening Scholarship in the month of August. First or second week of August is the time when the British government announces the scholarship, and that is when you can register yourself and start the application process. Once you register yourself, you have to answer a number of questions relating to your work experience and your education and all the formal details. And apart from that, and your university and course choices. And apart from that, you need to answer four more essays, which revolve around your leadership and networking abilities and your future goals and also your plan to study in the UK. So these things need to be sorted and done within a span of 2 months, because the application closes by the first week of November, first or second week of November. So you basically get time from 3 months. So basically you get time for 3 months to complete your application process, in which you have to select the courses and the universities. You have to mention them in your application process. You also need to answer those 4 essays which are there, and you need to fill in all your details. So you get a time for 3 months to do all these things, put everything on paper, and collect your documents and ensure that you are ready for the application. But you do get time. I mean, I can tell from my experience that, which was like 5-6 years ago, that you do get time to upload your English language eligibility test score, which is IELTS or TOEFL, even after the application is over. You also get time to upload your unconditional offers from the admission offers from the universities where you plan to study. These offers after November, but before November, by the time you lock in your entire application, you must mention 3 universities and 3 courses, or 3 courses in which may be common to 1 university or 2 universities or 3 different universities. You must mention them, and you must get admission in at least one of them. Only then your offer would be, you can be selected for a Chevening Scholarship, and you need to have an offer from one of the 3 universities that you mention in the application. So once you decide that these are the courses and these are the universities where I'm going to study, you should ideally start applying for those courses in those universities. The universities take time. I mean, some universities, the application process for the admission in their courses start earlier than Chevening. And while in some universities, you can apply till March or April. But ensure that you have your application process for universities going on along with your application for Chevening. And these two are entirely two different exercises. So your application for Chevening has absolutely nothing to do with your application for admission in any of the universities which you choose. So the letters of recommendation will be different for Chevening and different for the universities. Your application procedure is totally different. So these are 2 parallel exercises that you need to do. You do get time even after November to upload the unconditional offers from the universities, number 1. And number 2, you do get time to upload your English language eligibility test, which is ideally IELTS, even after November. But by November, what you should be done with is the entire application details, wherein you fill in your personal details and your educational qualifications and your work experiences. The 4 essays that you need to write, that should be complete and uploaded. And your letters of recommendation need to be uploaded, and the 3 universities or 3 courses that you choose, they need to be in place. And you should make your applications for the universities accordingly. So this is what happens till November. After November, you have your interview, then you are notified about your selection in the preliminary rounds. This is the preliminary round, which ends in November. You would be notified about it by the month of February or March, that whether or not you have qualified for the interview. So by February or March, you get, by February, I guess, you get the information that you have been selected for the interview. Then ideally in April, the interview takes place. My interview took place in the month of April, around mid-April. So by the end of March or April, the interviews take place. The interview results come in the month of June. In my case, it came in the first week of June. So by the first week or second week of June, by 15th June, you get to know whether you are finally selected or not. After 15th June, there are some paper formalities that you need to do with them, and then apply for your visa, and then you get air tickets and everything is done. But this is basically the timeline. It starts in the month of August, in the first week of August, when the application process starts. By November, by first week of November, you have to fill in all the details, and your 4 essays should be uploaded, and your choice for the universities and courses should be ready. Once you lock in all these things, then you get then you get additional time to upload your unconditional offers from the universities, admission offers, and English language eligibility test. By April, your interview is, by March, by February, you get to know whether you are selected for the interview or not. In March and April, your interview takes place. By June, you get to know the interview results, whether you are finally selected or not. So this is the timeline. Now, one question that comes to everyone's mind is, what are these 4 essays that we need to write, and what is the thing that they are expecting the candidates from the candidates while they are writing these essays. So let me tell you that British government, while giving the Chevening scholarships, does not look for your grades. I mean, obviously you should not be a failure or anything, but if you have decent grades, they don't look for toppers. If you are a topper, that's an advantage. I'm not saying that it is bad, but I had people in my cohort who went to some of the very good universities in England, who had 55% of marks, 54% of marks, 57% of marks. And they did go to good colleges like King's College in London and UCL in London to study various courses. So it is not that you need to be academically brilliant amongst the top 5% of the class or something like that for this scholarship, but you should have decent grades. And that is on the academic front. But what you should essentially have is a proven record of leadership. And by leadership, I do not mean that you need to have political experience or political leadership experience. No, it is nothing like that. Whatever field you are in, whether in law or in medicine or in engineering or whatever, or social sciences or social work or humanities, whichever field you are working in, or in geography, whatever subject, you should be a leader in that subject. By leader, I mean you should have something to show that you have brought a change in the system that you are working. Suppose you are a social science student and you are working with communities, so they would look for someone who, while working with communities, has helped changed the lives of the community that he or she is working with. So I think a lot of, if there are social work students, they would know about a component called fieldwork, wherein we are sent as change agents. So basically, they are looking for people who are change agents, people who have the capability or a record of having brought about a change in the system that they are working with. So this is what they're looking. As a lawyer, I can say that if you have been a part of cases and judgments that have had impact on various national issues, whether it is tax or on social issues like drinking water, or on criminal law amendment, any of these, I mean, if you have been a part of it or you have contributed something to it, it works in your favor. So this is something that they are looking for, that you have that thing in you, you have that that ability which is required in a leader, which would help change the scenario. So they are looking for people with those capabilities. Let me come to the questions that the essays that they would be that you need to write, and that they would be looking at, and which would form the basis of your entire application as well as your interview, because your entire interview revolves around the 4 essays that you write. The 4 essays essentially gives the entire picture of your life, academic and otherwise. The work experiences and everything is in there, because the essay questions are framed in such a way that your entire life is reflected through those 4 questions. So so the first question that is there is I'll read it out. It says that Chevening is looking for individuals who would be future leaders or influencers in their home countries. Explain how you meet this requirement using clear examples of your own leadership and influencing skills to support your answer. So basically, exactly what I said earlier, that they are looking for people who have a record of having influenced a community, a decision, or anything, and have a proven record of leadership in helping change the system, change the environment, change whatever you are working with. So that, I mean, if you are a change agent, if you have brought a change, you are not naturally a leader. So they are looking for people like this, people who have taken steps to help others. So if you have, as a community leader, if you have helped people get access to clean drinking water, if you have helped people get access to healthcare, and you have played an important part in that, that works in your favor. So Chevening is essentially looking for people who have those leadership abilities, and those who can influence the government decisions or policies or common psyche of people. If they are able to influence it, they are the leaders. So they are looking for such people. Second, what they are also so this question you need to answer with your own experiences, with your what you have, whatever you have worked on, or if you have written anything. There are people who write a lot of good articles, good pieces, research articles, which often form the basis of certain judgments, Supreme Court judgments or High Court judgments. There are people who write articles who the governments, various state governments or the central government uses those articles, uses those research papers to bring some policy level changes. If you have done that, and if you have, if there is an example of that, I think you are a very good candidate for this for this scholarship. So these are the things that they look for. The second question is that I'll read out is Chevening is looking for individuals with strong professional relationship building skills who will engage with the Chevening community and influence and lead others in their chosen profession. Please explain how you build and maintain relationships in a professional capacity using clear examples of how you currently do this, and outline how you hope to do to use these skills. So basically, this is a question on your networking abilities, whether being a leader in itself is not sufficient. You should also be a good networker, but if you are a leader, you are also a good networker. So you should know a lot of people. You should socialize with a lot of people who are leaders in themselves. So like people who are change agents, people who are academic leaders, people who are in the legal system and are taking lead in various things. If you are a part of that circle, if you network with them, if you collaborate with them in while working on various projects that you intend to work, or while you are working, I mean, this is what they are looking for, that whether you can collaborate with the government on some project or not. Suppose you are working on clean drinking water. So drinking water and sanitation is your area of interest, and this is what you want to study. Have you, while doing your undergrad, or while you were working on this, while in India, have you ever networked with people who have experience in these things? Have you discussed this idea, and has your ability to connect with people in this field brought any change? So they are looking for such kind of examples. They are looking for people who have played such roles, wherein they are good networkers, where they liaison with a lot of people and get things done. So basically networking helps you get things done, and this is what they're looking for. They're looking for people who are leaders and who can get things done. So networking is one ability that you need to have. And while you are applying, you should also be very focused that you cannot say that, okay, I want to work in the area of maternal and child health, and I have good networking skills because I play golf with Kapil Dev in Delhi Golf Club. Well, if you are a golfer, that works in your favor. If you are a cricketer, that works in your favor. But if you are working on maternal and child health, and you are networking and meeting people at Delhi Golf Club who are into cricket and into golf or into business, I don't think that is going to help you. So your networking should be in the area in which you are working, or peripherally, with the government, with the NGOs, with academicians. So this kind of network you should have in the area in which you are working, or in which you have this. I'll quickly sum up two more things that you need to answer. One is courses, 3 universities and 3 courses. I think my fellow panelists will talk about the university and how to choose university and how to choose courses of your choice. And the fourth is your study goals, like what are your life goals, as to what are your long-term and short-term career goals look like. So you have to, in the essays, you have to explain that what you are doing currently, and where do you see yourself in next 5 years and 10 years and 15 years. So short-term goal is 5 years and long-term goal is 15-20 years, where you see yourself. And so you should have a very clear post-study plans, that when I come back, I want to do this, and 5 years down the line, I see myself here. 15 years down the line, I see myself here. Suppose somebody is a lawyer who comes back, and he can say that, oh, I want to get into the public interest litigation, and 5 years down the line, I see myself litigating in public interest, and 15 years down the line, I want to contest elections and become a lawmaker. So this kind of clear cut 5-year and 15-year, 20-year short-term and long-term plan you should have. So I think this is what I wanted to talk about. My fellow panelists will guide you through the other processes and everything that is required for the application. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful remarks that you had made. Next, I would like to call upon Mr. Harpreet Singh Gupta to enlighten us on pursuing the degrees further, our education further, and the Chevening Scholarship. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tarun. Thank you, Shubhendu, in fact, for that long and comprehensive analysis of the 4 essays and the entire process. Just a few things I'll add on the essays, and then I'll move on to the LORs, how you need to structure the LORs and the interview bit. But before that, each of these essays, the 4 essays, are 500 words each. So these are pretty short essays which you need to address. That must be kept in mind. Second, Chevening in the eligibility criteria mentions that each individual who's applying must have 2,800 hours or odd work experience, which in their conception translates to about 2 years post-qualification work. Having said that, there have been few exceptions of students who've been able to show this experience through their course, either through their internships or their research work, or in exceptional cases, some of the students have authored some books while they were undergraduate students. So these are 2 eligibility conditions that you must keep in mind. Thirdly, this process starts, as Shubhendu rightly mentioned, in August and ends in November, at least the first stage, because the application portal opens in August. This is in most cases prior to the university applications, and some students tend to miss the application process or tend to start very late. The questions, as Shubhendu already narrated to you, are same, and you can start preparing, in fact, even prior to August, right? So that is another thing that I would flag. Now, there are 4 components, as Shubhendu rightly pointed out: leadership, networking, the 3 colleges and why UK, and your short-term and long-term plans. Now, while attempting to write these essays, if you closely go through their website, and I recommend that to all of you, to go there to see what all past scholars have done and what are the advices, because also follow them on all social media channels. Now, one approach that you can adopt, and it's clearly mentioned on their website also, it's called STAR approach, which is situation, task, action, and result. What I mean by this, I'll just clarify. So for instance, Shubhendu was talking about your leadership question. While answering that, as he rightly mentioned, if you've done some work for your community, or if you've been involved as a lawyer, for instance, in cases which have led to transformation, for instance, in any community which is backward, or in areas such as forest or water conservation, etc., you have to put that as a task as to what your role in that entire thing was. One, what was the situation before you? What did the task entail? What did you do? And what result your efforts entail? This is one nice thing which helps you break down your examples in concrete and categorical terms. So this is one. This will particularly help you in answering the leadership question. And a lot of students have in the past asked me this, whether your answers must only be from your work experience. It's not a hardline answer. You can also have experiences from your college time, but I think the website and the past scholars have all indicated that it's better to have at least something which is related to your work and work experience, right? Now, coming on to the networking question. So again, these 2 questions, as Shubhendu had also pointed out, are linked. Leadership and networking are linked, but you must be able to show in your field, one, you are in touch with sufficient number of people to bring about a change, and second, how will Chevening network help you in all of your answers? The second thing I would recommend, apart from the STAR approach, is also to show how you will benefit from the Chevening community and how the Chevening community will benefit you. So it has the mutual relationship has to be brought out. Now, coming on to the other 2 questions, one was about why UK and why the 3 colleges. Now, why UK can be, for instance, in case of law, for instance, my stream is law. I had done an LLM last year from Cambridge. Your answer could be that a lot of our laws have been borrowed from the UK, and how their laws have progressed will help us understand our laws. So this could be one way of answering why UK is preferred over other locations. But similarly, I am sure for other streams, there will be answers, whether your country has followed policies from UK, whether UK government in India has been working in those areas, etc., etc. But you must have clarity, and you must spell it out as to why you are choosing UK over other colleges, over other countries. That is one. Second, you must spell out 3 colleges of your preference. And what does spelling out the 3 colleges mean? It does not merely mean specifying, for instance, Oxford, Cambridge, LSE, or King's, for instance. You must be able to show that you have researched about the college preferences. For instance, if I say Cambridge, I must be able to spell out at least 3-4 courses that I will take as part of my LLM. Not only the college, you must specify your stream. For instance, you want to do an LLM or you want to do an MPhil. So course, college, research about what internal courses you will take. For instance, an LLM at Cambridge entails choosing 4 courses. So specifying 4 professors and 4 courses. In addition, you must also be able to specify a couple of committees. For instance, if you are into pro bono work as a lawyer, you must be able to identify Cambridge pro bono. If you are into sports, you must be able to spell out what sporting events take place in that college. So this is the amount of detail that you must be able to spell out while mentioning the colleges, and your colleges need not necessarily be set in stone. There have been instances where people have gotten offers later from other universities and have switched colleges, but I would recommend you choose your colleges after thorough research so that you don't have to change it later. So this is about the third essay. And the fourth essay is short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. You could spell out your short-term goals. So you must also keep in mind that this scholarship requires you to return to your home jurisdiction for about 2 years at least post your course. So your short-term goals will necessarily have to be linked to your home jurisdiction. And one thing, I mean, while I can't specify goals for anyone, but you must have necessary amount of detail in the goals that you set for yourself. And you must refer to, if you go to their website, Chevening, they will link you to the areas that the UK government is working in your home jurisdiction. If it happens to be, for instance, India or Brazil, you will find areas which are very broad and wide in which the UK government is working. You must try to link your goals to those areas, and that I think will again be beneficial to you, and that is an advice you should keep in mind. This is about the 4 essays. I will quickly move on to the other aspects. So as we mentioned, this goes on from August to November, starting first week of August to first week of November. This preliminary round results or indication comes in February, where you're indicated whether you've cleared the essay round. And then you will have to, I think, upload 2 letters of recommendations. This entire thing is online on your portal. So I think 1 letter of recommendation has to be from a person who supervised you at work, and 1 can be an academic LOR. So what the LOR for Chevening requires you to do is get a professor or work supervisor to attest you on these 2-3 things which are highlighted in the application, which is in the essay process, which is leadership, networking, and clarity of goals. So your supervisor or the recommender will mention about your leadership skills and networking skills and your clarity of goals. So one thing that you must keep in mind, while a lot of people go for LORs from people who are very reputed and are holding positions, the LOR, while it is good if you have someone and you've directly worked with someone who's holding a very reputed position, but the LOR must reflect a certain amount of detail. For instance, you have worked directly with a professor or directly with a lawyer who attests to your work in that particular case and highlights what your qualities are and is able to showcase your work through the LOR and attest to your work and abilities, right? This is the LOR, and these are submitted, I think, mid-February to late February. And the last round is interviews, which you will have to book from the online portal. These happen between March end and April. And the interviews are surrounding your 4 essay questions mostly. There can be some generic questions, and you must be prepared for normal questions as well. But mostly, they also don't ask technical questions because there are no technical experts as such on the interview panel. It mostly comprises of the Chevening Scholarship Head of India and 2 other people from the High Commission. Similarly, it can be different for different countries. There can be Chevening Scholarship heads or people who are working in the High Commission, and therefore the interviews are around your 4 essay questions, and these interviews last for about 30 to 35 minutes. I think that is all. I leave it the other things for the third panelist and for the question round. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for that extensive piece of information for us. Now I call upon Ms. Gabriella to address the audience, and the floor is yours.
Hello, guys. I'm so honored to be here. I'm a lawyer from Brasilia, like I mentioned before. I got into the Chevening Scholarship process this year. So in September, I'm going to the LSE to study my master's in International Social and Public Policy. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the interview for you, but I would like to mention 3 things that are really important in the Chevening Scholarship, which are the 3 Ps. What are the 3 Ps? You need to have potential, passion, and perseverance. Potential because don't sabotage yourself. It's not a good time to be modest when you are applying to the Chevening Scholarship. You need to show your goals. You need to show to the panel. You need to show to the British at the embassy that you are worth it of investing about 1,000 pounds on your education. You need to show them that you are worth it of this amount of money. Second, passion. Some people have been asking me what they should talk about on their Chevening application. So I tell you that you must follow your passion. For example, I'm a lawyer. I work with social security, but my passion is in working with non-governmental organization with people in vulnerable situation. So I'm going to pursue my master's in public policy and social policy because I want to work with people in under vulnerable situations. So follow your passion for the Chevening Scholarship. There is something called Achieving Sparkle. They are looking for people who have this sparkle, this need to change something. I'm really honored to participate because Brazil is a member of the BRICS, and I believe that Brazil and India have a lot of similar issues. So what are the issues that you want to address in your country? This is really important to understand. And third, perseverance. There are some people that getting into the Chevening in the 5th attempt. Thank God I got in the 1st attempt, but don't give up. Continue working on your application. Continue talking with Chevening scholars, and one day you get this scholarship. So going to the interview, I'm going to give a general panel about my process of the interview. I was interviewed on March, different from my friends that got interviewed on April. And the Chevening panel will ask you a lot about your essays. So you need to read your essays a lot of times because they want to see if the people that they are interviewing is the same person that wrote the essays. So they will ask about your leadership ability. They will ask about your network ability. They will ask why you want to study at these universities, and they will ask what are your career goals. I will read here some questions that they made. They asked for the Brazilian applicants this year. First, they asked, tell us more about yourself. This is the time that you have a free speech. You need to show them your character. You need to show them that you are a leader. And you have about 3 minutes to 4 minutes to talk to them about yourself. So get prepared. There are a lot of videos on YouTube where you can understand how to talk about yourself. They also asked what leadership qualities are relevant to your field and how do you have them. So you need to give them a general understanding about leadership for yourself and also to show them your qualities. And you can give them an example. I gave them the example of my essay, and they made some follow-up questions like, how did you do it? When did you do it? Where did you do it? So you need to have the example that you are going to show them very prepared in your head. Then they asked me a little bit about networking. They asked, for example, how I'm going to network with other Chevening scholars? This is a really important question because they are not looking only for a good scholar. They are looking for someone who will connect with the Chevening Scholarship. For example, I'm Brazilian, but I'm here with some guys from India, and this is the beauty of the Chevening Scholarship. You need to show them that you want to connect with people from all over the world. And right from the interview, right from the essays, you need to show them that you are a citizen of the world. They also asked me, how do you build relationship and how you contributed with an organization? So I told them that I implemented a program of a community marriage on a village on the countryside of my state, and the mayor of the city was there. The city councilors were there. So I showed them that I had connections. I have connections with politicians. I have connections with the courts of justice. So you need to show them that you have connections that can change the situations and some issues from your country, your community, your state. And they also asked me, talk about a time your networking skills helped you achieve something for you. So moving forward, I'm going to read a question that they made, that they asked me, why the UK? Like, it's the same from the essay. Why didn't you go to the US to pursue your master? Why didn't you why don't you study your master's in India? So you need to show them, why do you want to go to the UK? Also, they asked me, why the LSE? Why I want to go to the LSE? And please don't be vague here. Don't say, oh, because LSE is the best university in the UK in social science, or because it's the second one in the world. No, you need to be specific. I told them about a lot of things that I learned on the website of LSE. For example, LSE has a project for international students called LSE Careers, LSE Life, where they help scholars from all over the world to, how can I say, to improve some qualities, for example, some soft skills, for example, writing, speaking in public. So I believe that these are the specific topics that they want to hear during the interview. Also, they asked me, this is a fun question, and you can go very specific here. How do you intend to enjoy the UK outside your academic studies? So I told them that I am a triathlete, an amateur triathlete, that I'm a really good cooker. So I want to cook for the Chevening community. And I also mentioned some specific things about London. For example, one of the things that I study is migration. So I mentioned that 40% of the population in London are migrants. So for me, it was really important to go to study in the UK, in London specifically, because of the amount of migrant population living in the city. And lastly, they ask about your career plans, your career goal, what you want to do. And you need to pinpoint what do you want to do when you come back to your country, when you go back to your country on the midterm, like 3 or 4 years, and on the long term. What do you do? They asked this question this year here in Brazil. What do you do in 15 years from now? Where do you see yourself? I told them that I saw myself working on the federal government with policies and with public and social policies for vulnerable communities. And you need to pinpoint what are the career that you want to follow. So the interview lasts about 45 minutes. Don't be afraid of your English. I remember that Sharon, she is a scholar from Namibia. Last year, during her interview, she mentioned that she broke her English. She said, "I'm sorry, I broke my English." And she asked for 2 minutes to think, and then she proceeded her interview. And now she's a Chevening scholar. So they are very relaxed. It's not something that will be very stressful. Everybody mentioned that they are always laughing. They are very comfortable. So you need to make yourself comfortable too. Don't be so tense. Just relax. And something that helps a lot of people during this process is to make mock interviews. What is mock interview? So you search for someone, for example, I know Pratik and he got into the Chevening interview. You practice with Pratik. So make these questions to him and you can evaluate him and he will evaluate yourself when it's your time. I did about 7 mock interviews with different people from all over the world. I practiced with people from Mozambique, people from Peru, people from Syria, and people from Brazil. So I believe that this is really important. Go to the Chevening groups on Facebook. There are a lot of them. There are some Chevening groups on Instagram and also on WhatsApp. And search for people that are also applying to the Chevening Scholarship. So in this way, you will have an evaluation before going to the interview. So doing mock interviews made me very comfortable during my interview. On my panel, there were 4 people. One of them was the program officer of the Chevening Scholarship here in Brazil. And also there were a consul there. The general consul here of the UK in Brazil participated in some interviews. So expect important people to be on your panel. And there were also 2 Brazilian women. One works at the Brazilian embassy in Brasilia, which is the capital of Brazil. And the other one, she was a Chevening scholar in the 90s. So remember that they know about the Chevening Scholarship, but they don't know about your area. So don't try to use difficult words from your area because they will not understand. You can be a zoologist and they are all lawyers. So it doesn't matter where you come from or what area are you talking about. Try to be clear and specific. This is the tip. There are also a page on the Chevening Scholarship, the chevening.org website, and you can search for tips for the interview. So thanks so much. I pass to the panelists.
Thank you, ma'am, for that energetic remarks of yours. Now let's move into the questions. Before I could open the audience, the question for the audience, I would like to take the host privilege and ask some questions. Dear panelists, so you all have been telling that we need to give 3 options to the Chevening Scholarship Foundation so that they will be helping us getting our selections. I mean, they'll be helping us in getting our scholarship and etc. So can you please tell us, how do we select the 3 universities while we are setting the priorities for the same course? Any panelist?
So the question is how to select 3 universities?
Yeah, ma'am. Like how do we
What?
How do we prioritize which are the 3 universities that we are going to take up when we are applying for the same course?
Okay, I will try to highlight how I did that. So you go to the Chevening portal. There is a find a course website link there, something like that, and you type, for example, keys to your area. For example, I typed international development and the website will show you the universities that have international development courses and all of the international development courses. Something that I did too was to look on the QS World ranking, the top 10 universities in the UK. So for example, if your area is social policy, you search for the top 10 internet universities in the UK. So this is really important. And another thing, don't put all your possibilities in the same university, because if you do not achieve the language requirement, you will lose your scholarship. We had this thing this year here in Brazil. A person that got the scholarship but did not fulfill the requirements to get into the universities. So don't put all your money on Oxford, like first, second, and third option, Oxford University, LSE. Try to put 3 different universities. And yes, I believe these are the best tips.
Thank you, ma'am. My next question is, what is the nature of a profile that they are looking for when they are going to give a scholarship? Are they looking for an academic profile, or a profile that is leadership oriented, or a mix of both? So what do they see when we send our application?
Hi, Tarun, if I can take this up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so they are not necessarily looking for someone who's academically oriented per se. They are looking for a well-rounded personality, which is reflected by the type of questions which are there. For instance, the leadership, networking, what are your long-term goals? They're looking for someone who wants to work towards benefiting the community in any way and has taken some initiatives before, and broadly fits in that framework. If you are academically oriented, that might benefit your profile, but that is something that they are not necessarily looking for. Having said that, if you in your applications choose universities which are looking for that, then you have to keep that in mind. For instance, if you choose Cambridge, Oxford, LSE, etc., they are definitely looking for candidates who are academically oriented.
Thank you, sir. And the final question from my end is, when we are asked to submit an LOR, letter of recommendation, what is the degree of, to what extent does an LOR play in our getting our seats confirmed or in getting our scholarships confirmed? And who's the person who needs to give a LOR? Can you please answer on that?
Can I take this?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I think regarding LORs, Harpreet has very well pointed out that what exactly should be there in the LOR and how is it going to be helpful. I'll add just a few more points to what he has said, and it necessarily not be different from what he has said, but just an addition to it. That an LOR is basically a letter from someone whom you have worked with and who knows you personally. And that letter reflects who you are, what are your capabilities, and how do you conduct yourself. So it is basically a letter about your personality, about your professional life, about your professional being, which is written by someone who has been your mentor or your boss or your guide or a professor, about your personality. So this is what is basically should be there in the letter of recommendation. As Harpreet rightly said, that it should not be a very bland letter of recommendation saying that, oh, he's a very diligent guy and he works very very hard, he's a team player, and all those things which are very usual things. They are not looking for that in the letters of recommendation. In the letters of recommendation, what they're looking for is that someone who can divulge details about more and more details about you as a person, as a professional, and as an academic. So as a student, maybe as a student. So you can have a recommendation from your professor, you can have another recommendation from your maybe boss, professional boss. In my case, my recommendation was one from a leader of a political party who headed the public policy department, because I was while I was in the law school, I was simultaneously working with a political party and working with the policy department of that party. So one recommendation was from there. The other recommendation was from the person who I was interning with since my second year of law school, Mr. Vikramjit Banerjee, who is the Additional Solicitor General. So I got these two recommendations. I did not have a recommendation from my professor, but I recommend that you take one letter of recommendation from your professor, but because it looks good. And the letter of recommendation should be a bit detailed about you, reflecting how you are good as a team player and what all you have contributed on. So you can, a simple letter of recommendation would say that, oh, he worked on Transfer of Property Act and he worked on Constitution of India and this and that, while more personalized letter of recommendation would say that, say, Shubhendu assisted me in a case relating to arm's length pricing in the taxation module, wherein the Supreme Court ruled so and so, and his research in that subject helped me formulate my arguments and was of great help while I was arguing this case. This kind of if this kind of things come up in the letters of recommendation, it gives a more personalized touch, and it says more about you as a person, you as a professional, which is spoken from somebody who holds a position higher than you and who has guided, mentored, or taught you.
Thank you, sir. Now let's move on to the audience questions. Samir from Rajasthan is asking. Samir, I would request you to ask your question. You can unmute yourself and ask it. Samir, are you with us? Okay, I feel Samir is not here. On Samir's behalf, I would like to ask this question. Does the scholarship cover all requirements, including tuition fees, living costs of a student? Any panelists?
Covers everything. It covers everything from your travel to your visa, to your stay, to your food, to your room rent, hostel rent, your flight tickets, and you can live a good life. So yeah, it gives you a lot of money. If your hostel rent is not too much, because I lived in central London and my hostel rent was amongst the highest in London. Still, I was able to travel across United Kingdom and very easily, and lived a good life. Never had to cook. If you are cooking, you save a lot of money, but they give you a lot of money. So it's good enough, I think.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have a question from Riya Kumar. Is there any age cap on applying for the scholarship? And when should we apply for it? Before applying to the colleges or after applying for the scholarship?
Yeah, if I can take this up. So I don't think there's any upper age cap, but in terms of eligibility requirements, as I mentioned, there is a 2,800 hours of work requirement, which translates into about 2 years of work experience. I would recommend wait it out before you apply, but in case you can showcase through your internships and other research work, you can feel free to apply. So that I think would cover it, but it's advisable not to do it while you are very, very young, because they're looking for 2 years of experience.
I would add a small thing to it. I applied in fact, I applied in my last year only. So when I was in the final year, I applied. But before that, because I had already worked with a political party as a research associate. I was already interning with a Supreme Court advocate. And while I was at TIS, I had worked with the communities as a part of field work, which is like full-fledged 1 month of placement every semester. So I had a substantial number of hours that I had actually worked on. So I think that worked. But as Harpreet said, it is always advisable that if you have a solid work experience, I think there is nothing like it. So yeah, so that is the thing. Yeah, it's a choice that you can take, but having a solid work experience ultimately helps you.
Ria, do you have anything else to ask the panelists?
Yeah, thank you so much for your guidance, panelists. I just had one question, that whether we have to apply for the colleges first and then for the scholarship, or do we have to go for scholarship first and then the colleges application? Thank you.
So I think Shubhendu had clarified this at the start. I think those are two independent processes. Depends on the timeline of the college. This timeline, as in the essay timeline of Chevening, ends in November first week. The colleges sometimes maybe after that or before that, depending on the colleges you apply to and the stream you choose to apply to. We might be biased towards law, so all the timelines we might be telling must be law timelines. So if there is audience beyond law, they must also keep in mind that their timelines may be completely different.
Thank you, sir.
It's a parallel process. So you should not be like, oh, first I'll apply for this and then I'll apply for this. You should check the university websites, whatever courses that you want to study and in the university that you want to study in. You should check the website and see if the application has started. If the application has started, you should ideally fill in the application form and get done with the admissions. It's of no harm if you already have an admission offer. I mean, it works in your favor only, that so that you avoid the last minute things, that if things go wrong at the last minute, you won't be, I mean, there would not be any help. So I think it's a parallel process. It should go, it can go together, it can go one after another also, but it is independent of each other. So yeah.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have this question from Sarthak Pandya, LLB student from IIT Kharagpur. As we know, basic eligibility for litigation is LLB. So how does LLM from UK help in the career? May not be related to this, but he has asked this question. But any panelists, preferably for practicing advocate in India, if anybody would like to take this question up?
I mean, either of us can take it, I think. I mean, in terms of tangible benefits, directly translating in the short term, you may not be able to see many. But in terms of broadening your horizons, in terms of both understanding of the law, and also if you are able to, through the years, see some work in the UK, in the long run, this will pay rich dividends in terms of, if you are, for instance, before the Supreme Court, like Shubhendu is, in constitutional issues, sometimes you are required to look beyond your own country because there is that void, specifically to countries, for instance, the UK or Canada. And when you're going to the UK, you're not only studying the UK law, you're more studying broadly, internationally. For instance, my thesis was on indirect discrimination, and I studied across jurisdictions. I looked at Canada, I looked at UK, and I looked at India. So similarly, in the long run, your understanding of the law and your horizons will both broaden, is what I feel. But there might not be tangible benefits in the short run.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have this question from Gaurav Mandal from Kolkata. For pursuing LLM, when should we apply for the scholarship? At the final year or somewhere else? And also post our final year graduation. So this question, I believe this question was taken up earlier. Would the panelists like to take up answer this question in a brief, since it is specific to the law field?
So you will apply in the year you are applying for LLM. So for instance, the LLM cycle starts from October, November to about March, April. And in that same cycle, for instance, I'm applying for 22 academic year, then I'll apply for 21 November cycle in the essays. So, I mean, a year preceding to your application to the universities. I hope that clarifies.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Sophia asking us a question. Do I need to have my graduation degree to apply for the universities? I'll be graduating in June of 2024.
Yes, for the universities, you need to, when you are applying to the universities, you need to upload your grades and your diploma. So you need to have them translated into English and uploaded on the university page. So I believe that, yes, if you are, for example, if you submit your application and you are going to graduate next month, maybe you can send an email to the university of your choice, explaining your situation, and maybe they will consider it and wait for it. Sometimes they analyze your documents, they give you a conditional offer, and then the pending condition is to send the documents that are on hold. We can say in this way. But for the Chevening Scholarship, you need to have an unconditional offer. So, Sophia, I will suggest you to apply, to send an email to the university stating that you are going to graduate in the upcoming months, and maybe they will get to a conditional offer that will later become an unconditional offer.
Thank you, ma'am. I will now be reading Drishti Raval's question. Drishti Raval asks whether mentioning the details of other scholarships, one is getting helpful while applying. Would any panelists would like to take up
Can I take
this
this?
question?
See, Chevening Scholarship is not a merit cum means scholarship. So it does not matter if you have applied for 2-3 scholarships, you may not be granted one because you have already applied for the other. In my case, I had already informed that I had applied for another scholarship as well. So, but still I got it. There, I know people from India and Pakistan as well. I know people who got both Chevening as well as Commonwealth. Both these scholarships are given by the same agency, Foreign and Commonwealth Office. These scholarships are administered by the same department, and yet they got both the scholarships. So that is something I don't think it matters a lot. I may be wrong, but in my case, it did not affect my candidature. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have a question from Shahbaz Shah Khan. He has 2 questions, and it will be the last questions for the day. He says, I am from law background. Can you please guide me regarding the selection of university and the courses? A combination of top university options like Cambridge and also safer. This is his first question. And the second question is, there seems to be overlap between the leadership and the networking essay when I list down my experiences. How do I avoid it? And does it work if there's a link between the two? Thank you.
I can take the first one. I mean, it really depends. So while there are rankings to universities, for instance, the QS rankings are a marker. Sometimes you must also look at the areas that you are interested in and then choose the university. For instance, if you are interested in public law or commercial law, I think Oxford and Cambridge have quite a few good professors in those. But you must not go blindly by the name as well. You must, for instance, if you are going for IP and other options, I am told there are LSE, QMUL and other universities are very, very good sometimes. So you must not be blinded just by the name. You must look beyond these as well. In terms of your safety, if you think, for instance, Oxford and Cambridge look particularly at grades, you can have your third option as the other universities. That much safety net. But you must research about all universities thoroughly, because you run the risk sometimes of thinking that this is a safe option and not getting that as well, because all universities require you to be thorough with research while you are mentioning the courses and activities. So I think you should pick depending on your interest, and every option is a safe option if you do a thorough research. Sometimes grades might be a barrier, but apart from that, all options, if you research thoroughly, are safe.
The second question.
I'll just add to what Harpreet has said, and he rightly said that while there, I mean, Oxbridge are obviously the best of the universities and the best places to study law. But at times there are people who go not by ranking, but what they want to study. For example, like he said, for intellectual property, people prefer Queen Mary over other colleges. For income tax law, people go to King's College over other places. So there are universities which are good subject-wise. There are universities which are good overall. Oxford, Cambridge, and UCL are amongst the top 3 universities for law overall. And subject-wise, you have different. Suppose you want to study economics with law. I don't think there is a better place than London School of Economics. These are the things. And for safety net, you can always have one, the best of the university, second, second to the best. And for the third option, you can always have something which you think that you are confident about getting into. You should always have that. I know a friend of mine who applied to the top 3 universities in England, and he got the scholarship, but he could not clear in the admission of any of the 3 universities, which was a huge setback. He ultimately went to Geneva to study on another scholarship, but that was a problem. So you should always be cautious of the fact that while you may think that you can get into Oxford or Cambridge or UCL, you might not, because there is a lot of competition and the best of the people apply there. So always keep one option where you are very confident of getting into. So at least agar Oxford, Cambridge nahi hua, to you land up over there and your scholarship does not go waste. I mean, you have a scholarship in your hand and you don't have an admission. I mean, just look how sad that scenario is going to be. The second question is about networking and leadership questions overlapping. Yes, I do agree that it overlaps, but that is the trick. You have to separate these 2 things and bring out 2 500-word essays, 2 different 500-word essays wherein things do not overlap. So suppose I'll give you an example. Suppose you are working with, I'll give you an example from the social sciences. Suppose you are working with health campaigns. So suppose you are working with communities on right to health, wherein you took leadership roles and brought about some change, and the government has appointed a doctor in the village, or the government has come up with some sort of insurance for the villagers. And these are the things that that you worked on and accomplished while you are working with the community. While doing so, this is your leadership. This is what you did, and this is what you accomplished. The changes that you brought and how you brought, and all these things have to be mentioned over there. In the networking, what you need to tell, how exactly were you able to achieve by taking on collaborating with different stakeholders, because for every work that you do, there are stakeholders involved. There is suppose in the same example I'm giving, there are for getting health care facilities in a village which is untouched, I think you need to work with the district administration, the collector, the district hospital, the chief medical officer, the health ministry, the commissioner, and a lot of NGOs that are working in that in those areas. So these are the stakeholders, and so your work as a change agent is to reach out to all these stakeholders, ensure that they are on board, and only then you would be able to achieve the desired results. So while you are doing all these things, reaching out to the collector, reaching out to the NGOs or to the health ministry or to various departments, what you are doing is basically networking. You are establishing a network. You are creating a system wherein all these people come together to help a community, help a village, help a system that is existing and that is in the need of some help. So this is how you have to differentiate what networking is from what your leadership abilities are. Similarly, I think in law also you can mention that. You can always mention that while you are working on something, suppose on a tax matter or complex tax matter which involves double tax avoidance, and the matter is before the Supreme Court, you as a lawyer, can reach out to the government authorities, the tax authorities who are in charge of levying these taxes, and understand what exactly happens and what is the government's view on it, how they approach to problems of double tax avoidance. And you can also similarly talk to people who are into industry and have have industries in different jurisdictions and owners of companies in different jurisdictions wherein they have to deal with these kind of problems. And at the same time, you suppose there is an article written by a professor in Canada over the same issue, and you come across it and you want to use it in your research for arguments in the court. You can write to the professor, collaborate with him, get more details on how it works out in different jurisdictions, and use those examples of different jurisdictions in the court while you are arguing. So you are basically establishing a network and showing to the Chevening scholarship authorities that through that network you helped you were able to achieve certain goals, and this is what you need to do, and this is how you will have to separate both of them. I know they are overlapping, but there is a trick. There's always a trick.
If I can just add to that, even if you think it's completely overlapping, have different examples. Have 5-6 examples. Do not have the same example for leadership and networking. In a lot of cases, your leadership example will have networking elements and vice versa, but have completely different examples, just as way of abundant caution, in addition to what Shubhendu just mentioned to you.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful remarks. I thank all our participants and the panelists for this session. James Allen once said, "No duty is more urgent than the dog returning thanks." As we come to the end of today's session, I would like to extend my warm greetings and thanks to our panelists for spending a quality time with us during amid their busy schedule. I also thank the organizers, as Think India. Am I audible? Can you all hear me? Yeah. I also thank Think India for organizing this wonderful session and helping the young minds to know how to pursue their education in the upcoming days. I also thank the wonderful audience for coming and helping us to run this program in a successful way. Wishing all good luck. I would like to end this program in this session. And also I would like to request all of you to kindly visit to Think India's website and do follow us on our social media platforms and website. Thank you. Stay connected. Have a great day. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubhendu. Thank you, Gabriella.
Thank you. Thank you, Pratik.
Thank you.
Thank you.